Good morning. It is unfortunate that 4 people were arrested yesterday in Texas for the heinous crime of chalking a sidewalk, or excuse me, it wasn't a sidewalk. It was courthouse grounds. It was the pavement and the walkway leading into the courthouse in Texas. And your mileage may vary. I would have much preferred just citations issued. I would have preferred warnings issued first. I didn't watch the arrest. I'm getting this kind of secondhand from Earl's interpretation of it, and by Earl I mean Earl David Warden, the convicted sex offender who's currently on trial for molesting his daughter, who also goes by the name of News Now Houston, just in case anybody was unaware of who they were dealing with when they were watching Earl interact with people like Selena. Once you know that he's a convicted sex offender who was convicted of raping women at gunpoint, it kind of makes his interactions with Selena a little more questionable, but she's an adult. She could do what she wants. She knows who he is and what she's dealing with. Anyway, my understanding is that they were arrested for criminal mischief, and criminal mischief in Texas does cover putting chalk on a sidewalk. It's somewhere around Texas Penal Code 2803, and it is subsection A3, I believe. So 2803A3. And that's where someone intentionally or knowingly, and those words have meaning, it's where they intentionally or knowingly mark, like by writing, drawing, etc., somebody else's property, whether it's their personal property or their real property. Personal property would be like your car. Real property would be like your house. It doesn't matter that it washes off when it rains. That's not an element of it. You could write something with poop, and it would, it's biodegradable, it's natural. You could pick up a piece of dog shit out of their lawn, go up to their garage door, and write something in the dog shit that was from their dog on their lawn, and it would still be criminal mischief. You would still be marking their property, intentionally or knowingly marking their property. Now, intentionally and knowingly, again, those are the mens rea requirements. Those are pretty high mens rea requirements. So when Earl goes on about, dust falling off your boots while you're walking into court would be a violation of the criminal mischief statute, no. You have to intentionally or knowingly mark someone else's property, not just have dust fall. And his whole argument that chalk is dust is pretty ridiculous. So I wouldn't put any stock in that. He then goes on to say, well, what if kids came out and they put chalk down for like hopscotch or something? Well, in that case, they may be in violation of that statute. The question would become whether or not they intentionally or knowingly mark the property of another. Would a child know that the sidewalk ended and that they're now on court grounds? And then at the same time, the discretion of the officer would kick in. The officer might just warn them, might just tell them not to, might get their parent, whatever. But there is officer discretion involved. Now, because there is officer discretion involved, it does raise a point that Earl raised. If in fact these protesters had written pro-police writings, if they said, I love the police are awesome, whatever, Earl's contention is that the police would have done nothing, that there would have been no crime committed, and therefore this, he's alleging, I don't know if he understands that he's alleging it, but he's alleging that it's being enforced in an arbitrary and capricious manner. Well, Earl, there is a very easy way for you to challenge that, for you to settle that. If you're so sure that the police would not have done anything had there been pro-police writings, you may simply march your butt down there and write in chalk on court grounds pro-police sayings. And you could test your theory, you could test your hypothesis. I am not entirely sure that Earl is correct or incorrect. It may have been entirely different had it been a demonstration that people were writing pro-police stuff. I don't know. But then again, neither does Earl. And I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of comments of course you know, of course, because the police are all bad and terrible, except for all the times they're not. So I am not convinced. Anyway, I still think it is unfortunate these people went to jail over this. I hope this serves as a cautionary tale for those of you who see auditors doing things in these videos, things that may be legal in one state and illegal in another state. We ran through a whole bunch of issues on this with regards to the California guys, because the California Constitution gives you a lot more protections than the federal Constitution when it comes to First Amendment free speech style activities. California Constitution, the First Amendment sets the floor. The California Constitution raises that floor up significantly. I think it was Little Mac, Mrs. Mac, who was the she tried to emulate High Desert Community Watch, but she did it in a completely different state, and it did not work well for her. And now we have these auditors that were following Otto from other states besides Texas, I believe. And I know Patty was from Oklahoma, so they don't share Texas law. And I think one of them was Otto's girlfriend, who probably came with him from Colorado, I'm assuming. But anyway, just because it's illegal in Colorado does not mean it's legal in Texas. The medium with which you mark someone else's property is irrelevant to the Texas statute. So be careful. I strongly recommend that if you are going to protest and you want to have writings, I strongly suggest that you bring your writings as picket signs, as posters to hold and display, and take them with you when you're done, because littering is another offense that you could get at least cited for. So be careful out there. I don't appreciate when people's speech is terminated when their protests are ended by the police over nonsense like chalking. So the steps that you can take to reduce the chance of that happening, but still getting your message out, are beneficial. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great morning.